Imagine this, you're taking a photograph, you cannot see anything. You gotta be confident enough that, okay, you have, what you shot is pretty good. Feel it. There you go, done. Now rotate this. Keep going, it will stop you. Go, 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 go. Go. That's it. Done. Shooting film, today's discussion is about analog. So let me put it simply. Analog photography is basically film photography. Right now, everything you capture is digital. You know, light comes through the lens, goes onto the sensor on a photoreceptors, which will generate into a digital signal, and then we package it. We call it a raw file or a JPEG file or whatever flavor you want, right? With a film, you have a piece of plastic, a very thin piece of plastic. On top of that, there are layers of chemistry. Now those chemistry are light sensitive. So as the light interact, there is a chemical reaction happens. After that, without exposing again, you go through another chemical process, which is called development. So where all the colors will take place, or brightness and darkness will take place, and everything else will be washed out. Right? And after development, back in the day, you have to use the enlarger, project that on another photochemical paper, and then you have a print. So people who are a little bit old enough, they know, like, there was no screen. The only screen was a TV, that's a CRT display. When you say photo, it's a print, right? Now what we do with the analog photos is we take that film, put it onto the scanner or a camera, we take a photograph of it, or we scan that particular piece of film, and then we make a digital copy of it. Now throughout the process I explained, there are a lot of variables happen, which we're gonna discuss later. Okay, next thing. So things about film, which doesn't make sense. Okay, we're gonna start at film is expensive. Now how expensive we are talking here? So I'll show you that piece of film. They cost anywhere between, let's say, shitty film will be like 1,300 bucks. Like the one I don't even touch. Good ones, they will run you down 2,500, 3,000, like that. So bigger one is 120. This is 135. These are the most used size of films. Hold it, check it, pass. Now 135s are a little bit cheaper, but not as much. So on average, you'll be spending right now around 2,000 rupees per film. Yeah. Now next question, per film, that 135, the smaller one, is gonna give you like a 36 photographs by default. 36 photograph of 24 by 36. So that will get 36, and the bigger one will give you anywhere between 10 to 16 photos, depending on what camera format you're using. Now put it into perspective, I was just going through recently with my collection of like number of films I've shot. So the bigger one, after 2016, I've shot over 600 films. Multiply. 135, we did not even started counting, right? Yeah. So the point is, film is expensive. So 2,000 rupees you'll spend on film, then you have to get it developed. That would be 200 to 500 bucks. Himanshu, that's right? Then you have to get it scanned as well. So depending on the scan size, you'll spend another 200, 500, whatever that money is. Recently, one of my students got his film developed from Bangkok, and it was per roll. He spent, I think, 800 bucks or something like that with a scan. So 3,000 rupees for 12 photographs. That's what you're looking at after buying the camera. Right? So the film is expensive. There is no doubt about it. Next thing, film is unpredictable. You guys who has no experience, imagine this, you're taking a photograph, you cannot see anything. You got to be confident enough that, okay, you have what you shot is pretty good. So in that case, you have to be really good. But again, that's one part of that whole variable that plays into taking a good photograph. How the film was procured, what temperature it has been kept, right? Then what temperature you're shooting at. After shooting, what temperature has been kept? Is there any other radiation that got into, or magnets that got into the effect? And then how well it is developed. And after that, how properly it has been scanned. Lot of variables. So if you want to say like, okay, if I take a photograph of this, and then I'm come tomorrow with a different film stock, and I'm going to take a photograph of this again, with this, like a similar film stock but different one, you will have a different photo. To get a consistent photo, it's near to impossible right now with the film. So unpredictable. Film is not as sharp as digital, because digital are so advanced right now when it comes to sharpness. There is no competition. Like if you shoot 100 megapixels or something like that, this camera will not compete. I mean, it will generate a file of almost 150 megapixels with a number, but if you compare them side by side, digital is any day sharper, right? So if sharpness is your game, this is not something you want to look at, because film inherently will generate grain structure. All those small particles, as much as you enlarge, you will start seeing those grains. Now some people like it. That's a different poetic thing we can talk, but in a clinical photography, it's not advisable. So it's not sharp. Unless you got a drum scanner. Those are the scanner we are talking about, is like a $200,000, $300,000 used you can get. And then you have to take like a very thin, very specific clear sheet, put a negative, liquid seal it both the ways, put that one negative onto the roller, and it will like roll and scan. And it will take like hours, right? But they're pretty good. They are neck to neck with digital. So if you are into the sharpness, there is no way. So all I'm talking about right now is I'm making digital a hero. That's what we have to compare. Not convenient. You have to take care of this thing. You have to refrigerate it, and then you have to shoot it properly. Make sure there is no light exposed anywhere while you're shooting in the field. A lot of things to take care of. It's not convenient. To get the photo is not convenient. You take a photo, when you get it developed, if you are not developing yourself and scanning yourself, good chance you will not see your photograph in 15 days. All right? Obviously, film is not instant unless you're shooting a Polaroid or Instax, which are very low definition, fun kind of cameras. Not something you want to shoot landscapes with, right? And film is difficult to adjust in a post. Even if you have scanned raw file of that piece of film, you can convert it and you can do certain adjustment, but there is no comparison with digital. So now the question is, why do I shoot landscapes on film? Right? It's all negative, because it's me. I like difficult things. Right? But apart from all these jokes and everything, we will get to that point later in our discussion. All right? So what I have prepared, what I thought might be fun to have a discussion with, is we're gonna understand film, like, okay, what kind of films are available, like you have seen, but more in depth. Camera formats, how does it differ from digital, right? So formats, first of all, you have full frame 35, which is the smallest format in film. Back in the day, if you shoot 35 millimeter, people will not take you seriously at all. That's like a consumer film. Anything 645 is considered to be a professional grade, because that's the resolution you can use it as a professional. So this right here, this is 6 centimeters. 36 by 24 we measured was millimeter. This guy 6 by whatever, how much wide you go is your format. So the most I've seen is a 617, right? Shenhao. Yeah. So there are cameras which will shoot 6 by 17 centimeters. I have brought all these negatives here so you can actually physically see the size. But to understand that, you have to know what full frame actually looks like in physically. I'm sure whoever you use it, you guys know. All right. Standard identification. So sheet films, these are the big ones. You know those cameras, like they put the cloth and adjust everything for like a while and take one photograph. That's a sheet film. I have it here. So those are the most expensive and the most boring one. But the resolution and the look you can generate is very, very unique. You guys have used tilt shift lenses? Okay, so the lens, usually we have this like stick lens, right? Now tilt is this. So you can move your lens this way. Shift is shifting, right? With those cameras, sheet film cameras, you can actually move it anywhere. Okay, so this is 4 by 5. If you know 36 by 24 millimeter full frame, now compare that sensor with this size. Then we have 120 films. This guy right here. And then we have 35. The ones with the sprocket is a 35 millimeter. Cool. So what kind of film stocks we have, right? So these are the variables we have. So color negatives, you can have Portras, Acta, Pro 400H and bunch of other. You can get like a lot of flavors with this. This is a Velvia 50. Yeah. Fujifilm Velvia 50. This is a color reversal. So right now availability is 120 and 135. That's it. Easily available. I mean, you can get 4 by 5 and 8 by 10 as well, but it's very scarce. If you want to see all kind of a film which has been available throughout the history, this is something is going to have. Types of cameras. I'm sure you guys are pretty much aware of it. Okay, so this falls under what category? Out of this falls under what category? That would be cheating. No, this is a medium format. So this falls under, there is nothing over here. It's an SLR. This is an SLR. Single lens reflex. I'm going to open the whole thing. I'm going to show you how it works. Okay. So rangefinders are generally 135. There are 120 rangefinders like Mamiya 7 and 6 and stuff like that, but they're not so popular. Then you have a Graflex. This is a Graflex and TLR Rollies. So this guy takes a sheet of film. That big one you saw earlier, 4 by 5, that's for these kind of a big cameras. Okay. So, any questions so far? This is weirdly silent.
How do you choose to shoot negative, positive? How do you decide?
And size of the film.
And size. I mean, size he's okay. He shoots 120 most of the time.
Yeah.
Like what difference does it make?
Resolution first of all, and with the size specifically. So this is a very good example of like a super compact camera for 6 by 6. Otherwise, if you go 6 by 7 or 6 by 8 or 9, it becomes massive. Like if you go RZ67, it's almost double the size of this, and which generates 6 by 7. On top of that, you have to figure out what aspect ratio works for you. So that's what we're going to talk about.
My question came from the logic that, say for example, if you are going to Thor,
Yes.
how do you decide what film stock thought to take?
With specific thought one, my hero character was vegetation, trees mainly. Now I wanted to put everything in the center. So if I go horizontal or vertical, then there is a lot of negative space I have to introduce into the photograph. So I wanted to keep it simple, dead center symmetry as much as possible, using leading lines and distribution of the horizon with the thirds and whatever, right? So that, and I'm being lazy with the smaller size, much more helpful.
No, but how do you decide whether to carry triads or whether to carry positive?
So that's the next one. Shooting high contrast, where you have to deal with the dynamic range, and where you want to generate the mood. That's where I picked the black and white. So with the black and white, I'm jumping ahead for what we are supposed to discuss. This is my favorite choice, red filter. For shooting black and white, you want to put a color filter, right? Who here has no idea what I'm talking about? Okay. So when you put a color filter, okay, give it to him, put it next to your eye. What color you can see?
Red, most probably the light areas, and the dark areas black.
Do you see blue?
No.
Green? So what wavelength of light will penetrate the film? Red or orange, that spectrum. What color is the sky? Kind of opposite, right? So you'll get like a black, dark, deep sky, deep foliage. And when you're shooting like American Rockies and something, you get nice and bright stone structures. So that's going to increase contrast massively when you're shooting landscapes. Does it make sense? Look at this.
Yeah, the red filter one has the most contrast.
Yep. Then you have orange filter available, green filters, yellow filters. Now, if you put it on your digital camera, which has a color array on your sensor, that's not going to really do much about it. But if you're shooting a monochrome camera, like a dedicated monochrome camera, then you will see this effect. And on film, obviously. So with the black and white, whenever I shoot, I go for crazy contrast and drama, like light drama.
So basically, look you want is pre-decided.
Kind of. Pre-visualization is very much important. Okay, if you're shooting in monsoon, this is bad idea. You want to go something like a portrait or something nice and blunt, airy film. So even in films, there are a lot of flavors. So this is Portrait 160. This is a low contrast portrait oriented film, which will generate like a pastel color. All the pastel colors you see right now, the presets and everything came from here. Then you have Actor, which is like a nice contrasty color negative. The one on the light table right now, that's a Velvia 50, most notorious. You never want to shoot people with this film. If you shoot people with this, they will look like a makada, like a red face, like legit red faces. It is designed for landscapes. High saturation, deep blues, deep reds. Okay. So whenever I'm shooting, again, light situation where I see a lot of saturated colors as well, I want to go with the Velvia. Or if I'm shooting color next, then I want to shoot with Actar. So which flavor you choose is very important for your photographs. Now coming back to the format, aspect ratio will help you decide how you compose. So it's gonna go both the ways. It will force you to compose on square, but sometimes this will help you generate that specific look where you need a square, and then your brain has to work that way. If you, I'm sure you guys have tried it, like you shoot horizontal, let's say 4:3 or 2:3 or something like that ratio, and then you have to think square. Now you have a guidelines which will help you, but so your aspect ratio will definitely force you with your composition, and then your shooting style will be derived as you shoot over and over and over. So lots of, you must have heard, lots of these fashion photographers back in the day, they were specifically shooting Pentax 6.7 and RZ 6.7. 6.7 magazine size. That was the sole reason. Sometimes you don't even require a crop because cropping back in the day is losing resolution. So yes, aspect ratio is gonna kind of define your style. I've seen my shooting style as well, like from 2.3 to 6.7, and after 6.7, when I switched to this guy, massive difference. I start seeing completely different things in a frame. Okay? And film stocks, we just talked about it. Film care. Now that's a headache part. Expiration. These guys have expiration. The SD cards don't have expiration. Right? So if you see this carefully, where did it go? It will have, yeah, it is expired in 03/24. But I have refrigerated it. So it kind of works. So if I'm shooting this, I have to keep in mind that I have to overexpose it by 2/3 or 1 stop, depending on what light I'm shooting at. Yeah, so the potency will be less. So it will receive less light. So you kind of want to gauge. Again, unpredictable. Okay, expiration date is there. Temperature, we just talked about it. So by default, it is supposed to be kept at the room temperature. But we don't have room temperature here. Our room temperature is different. So not 27 degree.
So Ravi, one
Yeah.
question. If we are say shooting sub-zero temperatures
Yes.
outdoors, right? Would exposure change?
Not that I have shot twice, did not see, because see, my films are always kind of warm because I'm in a warm. I go out, shoot, and then after a little bit they go back to the warm temperature, like around 20 or 15 or somewhere. So maybe that was the reason it did not take effect. It should, not that I have heard of, but high temperature definitely affects a lot, 100%.
So how do you compensate for the exposure then?
High temperature exposure compensation is, I just like to keep it cool. I don't let it heat up, to be honest. But there is no specific compensation because each film is a different ISO, different chemistry. There is no way to gauge it. I mean, I couldn't find anything. So keep it cool. I have a nice igloo box when I'm shooting landscape. Or you want to wrap it into your lead bag. So there are bags available. If you want to carry these things through the airport, this has to go into that bag because if you encounter X-rays, this is what your film is going to look like. It will have like, it will be ruined completely. They always say like it's a film safe scanner, so you don't have to worry about, but still, I always like go to the security person and like with a nice smile, like, can you please hand jack this? You know, a lot of things can be done with a good smile. So usually that works. If it doesn't, then what they say is like if you have a film 800 or over ISO, which is very sensitive film, then there is a problem. Otherwise, until 400 you're fine. That's what they say. I don't want to take a risk. All right, next part. Anything about film handling should I talk about? Yeah, always get it scanned from your lab. So if you're sending it to the lab, don't try to save money. So I'm going to tell you my story. I went to Montana, shot the whole Rockies over there, 17 rolls of Velvia 50, right? Many expensive hotels, and around 12 to 14 days I've been traveling and shooting everything. Send it to LA Icon to develop it. Developed it. I was like, I have a scanner at home, I'm gonna scan it. They sent it over, it disappeared in between somewhere. So the whole trip, 0. Always get it scanned. Okay? Now the metering. You have an idea about metering at all? Okay. Now this is the fun one. This camera has no battery. Okay? This camera has no electronics at all, fully mechanical. It's like a Rolex of a camera. Hold it and pass, don't break it. Right? So, how do I know I'm gonna shoot it at 5.6, 100, or 5.6, 250, 100? Like ISO is defined, predefined, because whatever the film you load it into, that's your ISO. So let's say we load 160. Okay? You need to have one of these guys. So this light meter can do two kind of metering: incident and reflective. So now I'm gonna set my ISO at 160 and I'm gonna decide my aperture, because you're shooting landscape, you want high depth of field, you wanna shoot f11, 5.6, whatever, generally that's the general scenario. So we're gonna set it up to f8. Okay? Now there are two types of metering. First of all, incident. So I can go to the subject and I'm gonna measure what light my subject is receiving, which is going to be measured by this white thing right over here. Okay? And I have to change the mode to incident light. So wherever I put is going to give me the measurement. So right now at f8, 160, 2.5 seconds. Okay? But if I put it over here, 5. What is 5? Can somebody tell me? 5 what? Bananas, apples? No. So right now it's on the mode. I have set the ISO, I have set the aperture. It's going to show me the shutter speed. But 5 is 1/5, not 5 seconds. Okay? This is the button you want to press. Check.
Like a freeze.
You want to measure to your subject, whatever your subject is receiving, that light, incident light.
So if you are the subject.
So if I am the subject, you want to put it over here like this, and then you measure it. So yeah, right? You can pass. Take a look at the device. Good. So that's your incident. But I am shooting landscape. I'm not going to go to the mountain and measure what light is on this peak and what light is on that peak. So for that, there is a 1 degree lens over here. People who have no idea about how lenses are usually measured in degrees. So then you don't have to worry about what format you're talking about. 1 degree lens is a 1 degree lens. It doesn't matter on 8x10, 4x5, medium format or full frame. Millimeter can be calculated later. Okay? So that 1 degree is, you look from here. So I'm going to go ahead and change the mode to reflective light. Now I just have to look through and I measure it. So I measured his face, 6 seconds. Now this is how you measure the landscape. Ansel Adams zones, you guys have studied that? Anybody? Yeah. So generally they measure in like 10 zones. So the idea is like a highlight from white to black, right? So let's say zone 8 over here is the brightest point. Then you have this, okay? So let's say we have measured his face, then I'm going to measure that light over there. Save, measure, save, measure, save, and measure, save. Okay, so now I measured 4 different spots and I put an average. So it gave me an average of 0.3 seconds. Now, do I follow? No, I would never follow anything, because you have to see the scene, what film stock you're shooting at. So for example, this scene, or yeah, let's talk about this scene only. If I'm shooting Tri-X 400 or Kodak Portra 160, then I am not too much worried about zone 8 and zone 5. Oh, sorry, zone 8 and zone 5 too much. I'm going to measure for this and this. I'm going to expose for the shadow, completely opposite of digital. We want to protect the highlights in digital, right? So we measure for the highlights and then we open the shadow in post. The film behaves completely different. Film graph will go like this. If you talk about, let's say, one part of that film, one tiny part, it start being exposed, and as soon as it goes near the bright point, the receiving capacity of that chemical slows down. So it kind of tapers. So we'll never reach to that completely blown out, especially shooting with color negs or Tri-X 400. It's kind of difficult to overexpose it. So you always measure for the shadows and shoot accordingly. But if I'm shooting that guy, well, we are 50, that is the most unforgiving film you can ever have. 5 stops of range. 5 stops meaning you cannot go a little bit here. There is no leeway. If the scene is high contrast, you're gonna go, your shadows will be black. If you overexpose a little bit by a stop, it's blown out completely. You will have a clear film. Okay? So he knows the pain of it. So metering is super important. And that's how you meter. You need to have a device like this if you want to shoot landscapes. Filters. You are pretty much aware about the CPLs and NDs. If you're not, we have it here. We have the whole package of ND forum. Give me the thing. We're gonna load it later. Black and white filters, we just talked about it earlier. Jumped ahead. All right, so the benefit, finally, from the first question. Then we're gonna have a lot of discussion, your individual questions and everything. So connection with the location and subjects. You know, when you're a professional photographer like me, you're constantly shooting digital every single day in, day out. So for me, pulling out that digital camera on the field is like, okay, I'm back to work. That is number one. That is my problem. I'm going to be talking about specifically me. It could be a completely different interpretation in your life. Number 2, you look at, you compose and you shot the thing. You're not going to look at the photograph. This is the very important part of the film process. You are thinking, like, okay, why do I shoot film? You take a photo, you don't see the photo anywhere. So your brain is not occupied correcting it. Very important if you're shooting that. So you are there, you are present in nature. Take a photo, take time, enjoy it. Right? Yes, so this ones. These are the 100, 150 gradient filters. With the film, you have to use it because you cannot go to the Lightroom and drag that gradient filter on this. So this is how you get it done. And there are a bunch of it. They come with a different transition and different density. If you want to check it out, you can check it out later. Better involvement in the process. What's your aperture? What's your hyperfocal distance is gonna be like? You have to measure everything. You want to meter it right. You want to compose it well. Right? All that. And accountability. You screw up, you screw up. It doesn't take prisoners. And with the Velvia, I have a lot of experience screwing up. So, okay, I'm being nice. I brought the 5% of my very good films here. If you want to see my screw up, that's a big box. That's how much I failed throughout. Next thing, tangibility. You can hold this in your hand. It's not gonna stay in a drive somewhere and disappear. You can actually have it, and it's a good archival actually. And last, uniqueness. So right out of the camera, if you want to generate that specific look or specific color, I really enjoy because I don't have to think about colors anymore. Like with the digital, there are so many possibilities and I'm lost. Okay, like, but since I shifted to Leica, I don't even use my head on that. Like whatever Leica gives me, I just okay, this is good, move. So yeah, you can be lazy with the colors. You know color theory into Lightroom or Photoshop or Capture One.
Not the palette. You do not have like ज़्यादा दिमाग नहीं लगाना.
Yeah, you should. It is what it is. And see, very first point we discussed earlier, I don't know if you were here or not, that it is unpredictable. If I have two rolls of 160 over here, I shoot the same damn photo, it will be a little bit different. So that's the fun part of it. I don't take risk. It's a film. You can just get away with it. Right? So, and obviously with the different formats, you can get like 6x8 or something, or Shanghai we were talking about like 6x17. That resolution, and you use like a very narrow FOV lenses on that compared to what you have to use it on full frame. So yeah, that uniqueness is gonna be there. So those are the things I find very fascinating. But key feature with the shooting landscape with this, I can just enjoy it. Take one frame, good, go forward, or just sit and enjoy. Last thing I want to discuss is you have to do personal projects. And he's been a fantastic guide to me throughout. Even I started, I'm not an expert at it. I just started with a couple of projects right now, still working on it. So how do you decide projects? So these are the points I figured. You have to have that interest in the subject. Number two, accessibility. Mane interest है कि Rocky Mountain shoot करा है तो like it's gonna happen once a year. नहीं तब कपड़ा निकल जाए. So, or if I want to shoot like a polar bears, it's not possible that easily as a personal project. Like okay, every 6 months मुझे shoot करिए. It's very difficult. So accessibility is very important. Equipment driven. So one of the projects I have done in Thor, as you said, I decided okay, I'm gonna shoot everything square only. Not gonna crop. I'm gonna put as is, and I'm gonna use this camera only. So no brainer. So then I can pay attention to like this whole equation is simplified. Then I can pay attention to the subject. So that is kind of equipment driven. Now if somebody comes up with a different kind of a camera, so your shooting style like X-Pan, that will have a completely different language to it. So you can have your personal project with equipment driven. Yeah, and attachment towards the location or elements. I like rocks. Simple as that. Okay. It could be anything for you. Water bodies. You can shoot wildlife into the nature itself, like their habitat and everything. So it depends. Like you must be knowing Nick Brandt, right? Brilliant work. So yeah. So this is one of the project I was just talking about, Thor. So I'm just gonna flip through it. You can always take a look at it later. See that black frame? That is organic. That is not Photoshop or anything. It is organic. That's how it is scanned. That's how it scans. There's another project. So that's a mix of digital, drone and film as well. But I'm just studying the terrain. And I just kind of started it like a couple of years ago and then I got lazy. And this is from my Rockies and Sierra Nevada collection. So all these, what are you looking at right now? I have the slides today for you to see it in real, because that is the most organic viewing experience of any photograph you will have. Those films were directly into the camera, chemical process, and that's it. No screens, no digital conversion, nothing. So those ones you can see it right now. These are not edited, not even cropped, nothing. These are straight scans. What are you looking at? Ten. Okay, now we can, yes?
So sir, constraints from analog photography help you from improving your digital photography.
It does, for sure.
So as a
Because it's gonna hurt your pocket. It's gonna sincerely hurt your pocket and your time and your mental health if you don't pay attention. Okay, can we turn the lights on so we can go through the camera? I'll show you the whole dismantle of this camera. So this is a modular system. That's another beauty about film cameras. This is your film back. This is where you load the film. So if I want to shoot black and white and color at the same time, I want to have two of these. One is loaded with the color, the other one is black and white. Then you have your viewfinder. This is your ground glass. And then that's your lens. So your camera is essentially just a box. It's a very,
Not even with a shutter.
sorry?
This is a box.
Yeah, there's a box without a shutter, by the way. Shutter is in the lens. So leaf shutter. Forum, can you give me the prism finder, please? So if I feel like, if I'm not shooting this way, if I don't want any precision, if I have to shoot this high on an eye level, then I can change it. I can change this to 645 from 6x6. I can change this to instant film as well. And this is a prism finder, which has a light meter built in as well. So it takes a separate battery. So you simply just slide it in. And yeah, so now you have a prism finder, so you can shoot higher. With that guy, you have to shoot it over here. But the beauty of these cameras are complete modulation, like separate things. You can put a digital back over here, and then you have a Hasselblad 100 megapixel camera. Yeah, CFE 100. And you don't need anything else, just straight away. It's a plug and play system. All right. So how do I load the film in it on the field? I'm going to load this guy right here. Come closer so you can see it properly. By the way, first of all, whenever you buy something Hasselblad, put it inside. Put it inside. This guy has to match with the serial numbers. Has to match somewhere. Where did it go? Yeah, 5959. Then it's the same production unit. So right now you're gonna need one of these empty spool. Now this is what I do over and over while shooting in the field. So you want to make sure it doesn't open by mistake. Now it is in a kind of a dangerous situation. So over here, you push and make sure it clicks in. You always remember, my finger will be on the roll all the time. Then open this guy, so it will hold my film in a place. And you have to match this arrow, red arrow, with this. Okay. Then you slide it in. Sorry, lock. Slide it in. And it's ready to go. Now, by mistake, do not remove this while it is out of the camera, otherwise it's gone. And it locks in. So now it is loaded to shoot. And it will give me 12 photographs. After 12 photographs, I gotta redo the whole thing. So majorly I do, on average, 2 composition per roll. That's what my average. You don't see the photo. So you shoot over, under, bracket it well, bracket your depth of field as well. Yeah. Trust me, once you start shooting with this, any kind of film camera, you will suddenly realize, like, okay, please try ma thodi jagya wadar rakhwani thi. Do the whole bracket again. Okay, so now on the lens you have your shutter speed, your aperture, and your EV values. So in this, it shows you like a 1 to 10 or something, like 1 to 12 or something like that. So whatever the number comes in, let's say it comes to 8. So I'm going to put it on 8. So my aperture and shutter speed will be kind of locked. So I can shoot it at 2.8 and 30th, or I can shoot at 16 and 1 second. Okay. Now, what would you like to shoot? Too slow. We can try that later, chala. Then we have, so this is my standard kit. This is 150 millimeter. This particular one was made in 57. Yep. Metal. So except cover, it's all metal and glass only. Feel it. And this is a wide angle. It's a 50 millimeter with the macro. So no, it's a floating one. 4 stage. So I think it will go until 1 to 1, I guess. It doesn't say that. It just shifts your infinity to 0.5 meters. Whatever that is. Anybody shoots macro here? Have you seen this? Floating infinity.
So that's a completely different.
Yep. So if you put it on, let's say you focused on infinity over here, right? So your infinity is in focus. Now if you shift this to 0.5, your infinity shifted to 0.5. So you can focus that close. So whenever you're shooting somewhere, make sure it is on here, on infinity, otherwise nothing will be in focus.
So it's kind of like windows mein shoot karta hai, but you set
Yes.
the lens on infinity.
Yes. And all the lenses are. This is like partial, like little bit of plastic there for the grip. That one is metal. So that's a series of lenses what they shot Earthrise with. So they shot with 150C and 250C from Apollo 10. Huh? Yeah, if you want free Hasselblad, you can go to the moon. Okay, so let's put this guy on the tripod. We have 12 exposures. I need each one of you to like try and shoot. So fight in between who is not shooting.